Hey, good evening. Been a long time since I've been broadcasting, so kind of, I was gonna say busy, but I think busy is a bit of an excuse. Just kind of, I think, I think broadcasting is sort of like working out. If you stop doing it, it's actually quite easy to, well, just never come back to it. So, anyways, we're back. It's been probably close to a month. And what we were doing the last time we were broadcasting was building out a WordPress deployment with CloudFormation. And you can, if you remember, if you were here last time, I had this little to-do sheet of all the things that we needed to get done. And we kind of worked through the majority of the pieces. You know, we've got encryption for the different services we're using, compute, database, file systems, block storage. We've got our virtual private cloud set up. We set up these endpoints, and if you're not familiar, an endpoint allows you to communicate from a service that is what I'll say VPC aware to a service that is not VPC aware. So as an example, like, where is it? Right up here. So we've got, let's say an EC2 instance, right? A virtual compute instance running in AWS. And we want that compute instance to maybe talk to, in this example, S3. Maybe we've got some objects in S3 storage, and we want to make sure that that communication is private, right? We're not going out over the public internet to do that. So you can use VPC endpoints to do that. I don't really know if we will get into like using these fully, but I thought it would be a good kind of work experience. So we basically built something out. You can see here we've also got Cloudwatch logs installed. We created an instance profile. An instance profile, remember, is a way to have an application running on an EC2 instance, get temporary access to other AWS services using a role. So that's what we set up there. We set up a series of security groups, and then we made it as far as EFS. And I've marked this as in progress, but I want to say my memory is that we finished that. I'm not quite sure. So we'll check that. We didn't set up a database. We didn't set up a load balancer because we don't have an EC2 instance yet. Now, this is the interesting part. It's been so long, I don't know what the hell this is supposed to be. So, yeah, no clue. We're just going to go like that, okay? I had a good chuckle when I fired the project up here, and I was no idea what the hell that was. I thought today that in order to do kind of these things, no need for a database, no need for a load balancer. Obviously, auto scaling we can't do until we get an EC2 instance running. So what I thought we would do today is we're going to create an EC2 instance, and we are going to put the applications that we need on it. What I'd like to do is I like to bake kind of components that aren't going to change very often into the machine image. And then what we'll do is we'll refer to that machine image in the auto-scaling deployment, okay? The way that I think about it, I saw this in an Amazon training guide somewhere where, their best practice would be to keep or bake into the machine image components that don't change very often. So that means, like in our example, we need an Apache web server, we need, Cloudwatch logs, we need a couple things. And what I thought we could do is those components aren't really going to change a lot. So we'll put those onto the machine image itself. So that's where I thought we would start today. Okay, try to get that machine image built, and we'll see how far we make it. So I'm logged into the account already, in our demo account. We're building this all out in the Canadian region. So we've got Central up here in the top, and we've got nothing here. So let's create our first instance, and we're going to use Amazon Linux. We're going to do, we're actually going to use Graviton processors. So we're going to find a small Graviton processor. Oh, yeah, oops, we got to go back here. You got to have an ARM processor. And then I should have I thought I had, where is it? Oh, there we go. I went right by it. So we'll just throw a medium instance in here for now. So we're using an ARM processor and then a Graviton implementation. So this is Amazon's chip. We don't have, I didn't stand up any of the components like the VPCs or anything like that. So we'll just use the default VPC for now. This is only going to last for a little bit of time as we build all the components out. So it doesn't really matter where it is. So we'll leave that all default. We are going to use a role, which I don't have. Okay, so that's our first problem. We are going to have to deploy some stuff, so just give me a sec. I noticed a couple things in there that we might as well clean up. So I was doing some demos, so let's get rid of these. Okay. And then there were a couple roles, I think, that I saw. Yeah, so let's go delete, delete, delete. I think we can get rid of all those. All right, that's fine. That's a service role, so we'll leave that alone. We don't not using pipeline. I can't remember if I left a pipeline running or not. That doesn't really matter. So what we'll do is we'll go over here and we will run our pipeline. And this should build all of the things that we need. I could have, well, I said I could have, but I should have run this before starting today, but my evening kind of got away from me a little bit. I don't know where it went. So anyways, we're running a little behind tonight. So this will take a minute. This should be the stack right here that will create the instance profile that I want. And that's important because I'm not going to open SSH here. We're going to use the session manager solution to do this. So what we should see is some of the stacks coming to life. So there's our VPC. Oh, look at that. We've got I left the IAM stack there. So what did I miss then? See here, this is the profile that I was expecting to see. WordPress development. Okay, so let's go back here. Oh, there it is right there in front of me. So let's refresh. Yeah, there we go. That's easier. Sorry, I looked right at it. So there's a WordPress profile that we've created. The rest of this we'll leave as is. Switch over here. And we are going to use EFS for everything. So we're going to put all the components on the root volume. And this is good for us because we want to make sure that nothing's left over if we have to stop anything. And this is the key that we want to use. So you can see here by default, if the autoscaling solution terminates an EC2 instance, maybe it's unhealthy for whatever reason, it will delete this volume by default. Okay, so this is why we're going to bake everything in. We don't need another file system here because all of the components that we need will be part of the root volume. And I'm just going to give it a name for now. We'll call it WP AMI Builder. And we'll see if we have anything left over here. We don't. It actually doesn't matter what we put on this because, again, you can see the security group has no rules, which is fine. Actually, it might not be fine. Let me check something. I don't really care about inbound rules because we're going to use Session Manager, but I do need it to get out to the outside world. Let's see, like to install the software and stuff that we need. Here's the default security group, and you see it's got nothing, no inbound, no outbound, so we can't do anything with this. What we'll do then is we'll deploy our VPC. What else can we do in parallel here? Security groups, all this is going to rely on the VPC. So we'll give this a second. We're kind of in a bit of a holding pattern. Well, you know what? We can stand this up because we can always change this. So I'm going to leave. Now we're standing up a VPC. This won't work. So let's go back here. Let's just cancel this. Because if I remember that security groups and things like that are tied to a VPC, right? So if we create a VPC with a security group in it, but we deploy our EC2 instance in another VPC, then we can't use those security groups. So I just gotta patient and wait for this to finish. It really shouldn't take long because it's a pretty basic VPC. You know, as I'm looking at this, you can see we had some optional things if we're I like how if we're still interested. So we work through a bunch of things, and if we're still interested, we could do some other things here. Load testing, you know, having some sort of automated deployment process for maybe, you know, updates to maybe code on the EC2 instance. We could create dashboards. The other thing that I was thinking we could do is if we created a new section here, if we think about what we want to put here, we want to install the unified Cloudwatch log agent. Obviously we need WordPress, right? Since that's kind of the whole point. We could put the inspector agent on here. I think we'll do this. The inspector agent is to do vulnerability scanning of our EC2 instance. That might be something, you know, if we're still interested at the end, we could do a vulnerability scan of our EC2 instances. Okay. Inspector, unified CloudWatch log agent. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Well, obviously we need Apache. If we have to go back and add something else, that's fine. We can do that. It's always takes longer when you're waiting for it. Never fails. Alexa, stop. This is why I should have planned ahead a little bit and deployed this earlier today. Okay, there we go. So we got our VPC. So let's go back over here. Here, actually. Launch an instance. Select the ARM chip. And then we can use a Graviton. So we'll use a medium instance here. And now we should see our own VPC. And we're going to put this in a private subnet. Doesn't matter which one. So this means that nothing will be able to access this from the public internet. And that's okay the way we're setting this up, because we're going to use Session Manager to get access to it instead of SSH. Okay, so that's okay to put it there. Our IAM role should be the same. Again, we'll leave all this the same. Oh, one thing I want to do here is say version 2. So metadata, you can use version 2 and you have to provide a token. It's a more secure way to do it. So we'll do that. And the reason I want to do this is because if we didn't, and we have Security Hub running in here, Security Hub's going to throw a finding for us and say, hey, you know what, you should be using version 2 of metadata to better protect some of your information. So we'll set it up like that. The only thing I'm going to do here is change the key. We want to use our own key, so that's the WordPress development key that we set. And I'll say WP AMI builder. And now here is where we should have, oh, damn it. We need security groups, don't we? This doesn't matter now because at least I'm in the right VPC, so we're going to leave that. Okay. Review and launch. Oh, there we go. Launch. We'll use the, yeah, we only have the one key. Again, it doesn't really matter for us, so we'll let that come to life. And as that's going, we can fire off the rest of these. So the different endpoints that we created. I'm not used to that extra screen there. So these are all the endpoints. All right, and then we need our file system. This will be our shared file system. For our actual WordPress is going to be installed on the shared file system. So we want to get that all installed and tested. So you can see these endpoints should come up to life pretty quick. Come to life. Oops, here. All right, let's see if we can get into this. So if we say connect, there's session manager. We say connect. And we're in. So let's just patch this, see what patches are here. All right, so that's the first one. We're gonna install if we think about this, that'll be on our shared file system. We've got to install this. So let's do Apache. And I always forget these commands, but luckily for us, Amazon has some documentation on how to do a LAMP stack. And I just need to grab a couple commands for this. Right, so we just did that. We're not going to install MySQL. We're going to use RDS for that. We're not putting it on the host. So I want to say we just need those. Oh, we'll need that. We'll need this as well. So let's do this in a few commands just to make sure I don't install anything we don't need. No package. Oh, wait, different version. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. No package. Yeah, we're using Linux too. So let's, there we go. We go back here. Amazon Linux 2. Okay. And again, we don't want this whole thing. See this? So let's do, and then we'll just grab PHP 7.2 from here. Was it 7.2? I don't remember. Yeah, 7.2. There we go. All right, and then we also want to install Apache. Okay, it's easy. And then, yeah, we need to run these commands to start Apache and then enable it at system start. So Apache will auto start for us. All right. We're not going to worry about any of this. We're going to build this out our own way. We won't worry about trying to get to the test page. We can't right now. Oh, hey, Kevin. How are you? Nice to see you. I finally I got back into the groove here, or I'm trying to. I've been slacking off the last I hate to admit it, it's probably been a month. So yeah, we're trying to remember some of the things that we had done with our WordPress deployment. And since you're here, actually, question: can you hear music in your stream, or is it just me talking? I'm trying to use that Amazon Music plugin again, and it's been so long that I don't know if I have it set up right. So I'm hoping that you can't hear music in your headphones, because then I'm going to be in trouble. Just my voice. Thank you. All right, so we've got all this set up. We won't worry about any of this for now. We're going to set this all up in a... We're going to come back and look at these, but we don't need to do it right now. Okay. The other thing that we want to do is the Cloudwatch logs agent. So what I want to do is, I always forget this too. All right. And we want to make sure that we're using the right version. So we want to use the Unified Cloudwatch log agent, see this, and then we've got the systems manager installed already, which is part of Linux too. And one of the other things that we did in the profile is what I'll say, finish the configuration of that. So that means that the systems manager agent running on our EC2 instance can talk to the systems manager service. So we're going to use the systems manager to install this. So you can see what we're going to do right here. All right, so download the agent using Systems Manager. All these things we know work already. This is what we need right here. So we want to do AWS configure package, AWS package. Go over here, go to Systems Manager. And we need... Where is it here? What am I trying to do? Oh, yeah. Oof. Run command. Run a command. Wow. And then we need down here AWS configure package. So we can go down and we can say Amazon Cloudwatch. I think that's all it is. Oh, Cloudwatch log. Let's just cut and paste, right? Okay, and we might have space there. I don't think you have to put this, but I'm going to put latest. And then we're going to find our agent, or our instance, and it's only the one, so we'll just click that. There we go. So this should just take it a minute. There we go. So now we've got the Cloudwatch log agent installed. There's a config file that we have to set up, but we're going to get the Apache up and running first, the Apache server up and running first, because I want the log files and stuff like that pushed up here. So I think we'll leave this part for now and come back to it. Okay. The other thing I wanted to do was the inspector agent. I don't know if you can install this in Systems Manager or not, so let's see. Oh, there we go. Installing the agent on multiple instances using the run command. It's probably exactly the same. We just give it a different agent. Or not a different agent, a different target. See that? Oh, it's got its own document. Okay. So we should be able to go back here and say, I don't think it lets you search. It doesn't. Okay. I already forget what it was called. I'm looking for something that says inspector. Okay, run command, choose document, choose the document, blah, 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 manage. Oh, okay, I was looking for inspector at the end. I probably went right by it. So it says Amazon inspector. I don't see it. So we can do this. We can say owned by Amazon, which would do a filter. I don't think that'll make any difference because all we have here is Amazon documents. Oh, was that there? Was it there? See that? Inspect checks. Then it goes to, is there another filter here? Document name prefix equals. Let's start with something easy. That's definitely not here. Okay, it's not supported for Debian, that's fine. Yeah, Systems Manager console, run command, run command. Well, we could do it this way. Sorry, Matt, I gotta put my desk down. My back is starting to hurt. Hey, Kevin, that reminds me. Did you ever get your standing desk sorted out? I know you were talking about it for a while. This will be when the desk messes up now, right? Now that it's live. Let's try it again. There we go. I used to be able to stand way longer than I can now. I'm a mini person now. Hold on. So just, maybe that's okay. All right. So we can run this manually. Let's try it like this and see what it does. Oh. Okay. Whoops. Where am I? Yeah, it's probably not where I wanted to do that, right? So let's do this. rm install. There we go. At least we can write to our own directory here. Okay, let's see what we got to do next. And we just run sudo bash install. Kernel AWS agent is only supported in not supported. Maybe that's why we couldn't see the run command. Yeah, I have a standing mat, which is way better, but I've noticed lately, for whatever reason, right in my lower back, I've been having a lot of like just pain when I'm standing, so I gotta switch back and forth a lot. But you're right, you definitely need a good standing mat. So let me just try something. If we go over to US East 1, let's just see if this is here now. We'll do the same searches. So owned by Amazon, prefix equals Amazon. I bet you that's why it wasn't showing. Still, oh, there it is. So, okay, we can strike this off, right? Because not supported in CA Central 1. Okay, this is in progress. This is in progress. We got to finish the configs on a couple of these things, right? Okay. All right, so let's go back over to Canada. So that's an easy one. Mystery solved. Okay. So now the thing that I want to do is, when we think about Apache, Apache has a config file, right? I thought it was etc Apache. Oh, it's probably httpd. There we go. So this is our Apache directory, and then in the conf directory we'll actually have, this is the one that we're interested in right here in particular. So what I think we're going to do is we're actually going to create, I think, 2 file systems. And I don't know if this is the most cost-effective way to do this, because what I'm thinking is I want to share the configs for Apache, but I also want to share the actual WordPress install, which would be in one of the Apache, or in one of the directories that Apache is going to serve, right? So I wonder if we can, yeah, let me think about that one a bit. Not quite sure how I want to approach that. So let's go to EFS. Okay, so this is up and running. The other thing that we need here is EFS, I think they call it the helper, which is just a way to mount a file system. So let's do this. We don't need the inspector. All right, so this is what we want, the Amazon EFS utilities. Okay, Systems Manager can do this again for us. So let's do it through Systems Manager. We've got that. Configure an association used by State Manager. Yeah, that seems more complicated than we need. Let's just do this. It's just like literally one command. Kevin, are you getting nervous at this point? You know where I'm going with this, right? So that's good. And so this is really easy. So what we need, it's easy in theory. Yeah. So we're going to do this. We're going to say, we're going to make a directory. Well, that'll be kind of our home directory for Apache. And then what I'm thinking is we create a conf directory as well. Okay. Now, go over here, attach, and this is really all we need. We'd change this out. Shouldn't take that long. That's a DNS issue, I think. Probably not DNS as I say it. It's probably if we go to network, this right here, probably what we've done, let's check this security group. I can't remember, it's been so long since we've been working on this. I don't remember how we set this up. Lower the audio here a bit. It's a little better. All right, so if we go over to security groups, so see this is allowing inbound TCP 2049 from, what did we do here? There we go. From this source, WordPress development SG, and then you can see we've got WPSG on the end. And I bet you when we stood this up, it's not, doesn't have that security group. Yeah, we put it in the default. So we're gonna go like this. Security, change security groups. And we want that one. And we'll remove this one. Again, as long as it's allowing outbound traffic, we're good. Okay. Go back over here. Doesn't feel any different. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's that one. All right, now, here's the big test. Permission denied. So this, Kevin, I remember this from last time. I think this is actually an access policy. So let's have a look here. I think our root cause was this. There is no access policy or a file system policy. So let's just check something. I think if we create this through the console, this is where we got hung up before. So if I go back over here and say file systems, create, and we do this, this is all the same. We say create. We'll let this one come to life. And as it does, I think it assigns a policy here, if I recall what we figured out last time. But let's just do that as a test. So through the console, and then we've got this using the CLI. So see this here, it's basically saying allow anything within this account the ability to run, to connect to it. I think this is what it was. And in this case, we've put a resource down here. We're saying allow it to connect to this particular file system. So let's go over to here. And here it is. See that file system policy? See if they give us an example of this. Right there. I think that's what we're missing. Okay. So yeah, fingers crossed still, but let's see what we got. So we're gonna go to here. And I'm gonna just resize this so I don't have to flip back and forth. And we'll borrow here from the example. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay. So this is an example of a resource policy. We've got identity policies. Remember, those are what we create in IAM and associate to resources within identity and access management, like users, roles, group membership, like that. And this is an example of a resource policy. All right. So not all services support resource policies. EFS is one that does. So we're just going to add this. I don't know if we need more than this, but You'd think in the example they'd tell us if we did. And we're going to change this a little bit so that we're going to make this dynamic. So we're going to say AWS. Actually, I think it's just like this. I'm going to go with my gut. It's usually wrong, but we're going to try. Okay, arn AWS. And then we're going to substitute in. We're going to use pseudo parameters here. Oops. So we're going to say account ID. Okay, so that's a pseudo parameter which would fill in this. Okay. Now that's interesting. EFS read only. Because over here, yeah, I'm gonna do this. So root. Okay. So they've got client mount as well. Now in this case, they've added the file system. So I don't want to tie it to a specific file system, because if I go down the path that I'm thinking about, well, actually, let's try it. Let's just see what it does, because we could do this then. We could say resource, right? And we could use sub again, ARN, AWS. And now we're going to use another pseudo parameter. We're going to stitch a couple of these together. Right? And then it's going to be file system dash system slash, and I'm just going to do the ever handy to do. Okay, we'll come back and fix that. Because what I need here is, you can see that this depends on EFS. So we're going to create... Oh, I put that in the wrong spot, didn't I? This is what, yeah, that needs to be E. That needs to be on, not the mount target, sorry. That needs to be right in the resource. Okay, so grab all this. Maybe. Come on. And that needs to go up here. I feel like this is too, like, there's not enough here. We're gonna go through this and just check. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and then we're just gonna, for now, I am just gonna say star. So what this is gonna say is, at least limit it to, this is all mucked up from the paste. Still not used to this keyboard. You'd think by now I'd be used to this keyboard. What have I done? This is looking really ugly now, isn't it? Oh, I got another copy. There we go. So shift, not copy. We want it to look like that, and I'm missing a quote up here. All right. So what this is going to do is, it's going to essentially tie this policy is going to allow us to run client mount API actions against any file system in this account in a specific region, and this is where we're running this. So it's better than putting star. Okay. Now, just because, like, see all the extra things they have here? Let's go up and have a look. Maybe we missed something. We don't want to use one zone storage. We're using a multi, I think they call it multi-AZ storage, so we don't want to use that. This is not required. By default, EFS backs up, and it's automatically protected with AWS backup, so we don't need that. Bypass policy lockout safety check. Not supported by CloudFormation, so I'm not going to worry about that. We have encrypted here already. We want to use KMS to encrypt it. We just added the file system policy. Used to create one or more tags associated with the file system. We should tag it. Oh, we've got them here. File system tags. Okay. KMS key ID. We don't want lifecycle policy because we don't want to move things from the standard storage or whatever it's called in EFS to infrequent access. We're going to use general purpose, which means we don't need this because we're not setting it max IO. Don't need that because we're using general purpose. Don't need that. Oh, this specifies the throughput mode for the file system, either bursting or provisioned. If you set throughput mode to provision, you must also provide. Yeah, we're just going to let it say it's bursting. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see if we get lucky here on the first shot. I doubt it, but there we go. Probably a spelling mistake. There we go. YAML not formatted, line 67. In what template? In EFS. Okay. Oh, look. Ah, oops. So funny here. I figured out, I did some key mapping on my keyboard, and I have copy and paste in a single key, but I don't have a cut feature yet. So, yeah. Try again. If you want to see all the other actions that are available, you can just do IAM actions and then the service, and it'll dump you to a really handy page here, right here. That's not it. This was it. So what you can do now is scroll down and you'll see all of the actions for the service. And this, you could use this in either IAM policies, identity policies, or you could use them if the service supports it in a resource policy like what we've created here for our file system policy. Okay, so what we've added is in the file system policy, client mount grants permission to allow an NFS client read access to a file system. We might need more than that. We'll have to wait and see what it does. Okay, no failure there. Make this window a little bigger. Go back to, I think I closed CloudFormation. Leave that open. We got that installed for now. We've got that. We might need that one, so we'll leave it open. We got timed out. All right, so we got a typo in here somewhere. I think this is wrong. I want to say it's like this. You should always follow what's in the documentation. I think that's good advice. You shouldn't wander from the documentation. Documentation might not always be right, but it's probably more often right than I am. So we'll see. Never heard of a typo. What's a typo? Typos don't exist in our world. We write perfect code on the first try every time, right? Hey, Kevin, did you notice that I'm trying out the new category? I think it's called game and software development. I don't know if it's maybe the right place for this or not, but I figured I'd try it tonight. I don't think I've broadcast since they brought the new category in, so figured it was worth a shot. There we go. Oops. Execute. Yeah, software and game development. I don't know if what we're doing really falls in that category, but figured I'd give it a shot. Did it fail again on us? Ah. Policy contains an invalid resource. Oh, yeah, so see here, this is going to be a problem because we don't actually have this because we're creating the file system. So I think then what we're going to have to do, I'll look to see what's possible, but we would kind of be stuck in a situation where we're creating the file system and then trying to assign the policy to it at the same time. And I don't know if we can actually, we can't refer to a file system ID until it's created. So I think what we might have to do here is this. Let's try it, okay? I was hoping we could at least tie it to something. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Turned the music down and then the next song was really quiet. Third time's a charm. There we go. All right, so if we go back to EFS. I'm going to try to, well, let's actually have a look at this. Does it put a file system policy in? It doesn't. I don't quite understand again. It's amazing how quickly you forget about this stuff. So we have a file system policy now. Okay. So if we go back to our EC2 instance, make this a little bigger. The wrapping is odd. Will it pull up our old commands? Oh, we can get the command from here. Look at that. Okay. So now we can't even mount the drive. Grants permission to allow a client write access to a file system. Oh man, I might have to go back and look at that old video. It's amazing. This is exactly what we ran into last time, right? Let's do something else here just to try it. Let's look here. There's nothing in the file system policy. What did we create for the security group as default? So what we're going to do is we're going to modify the security group, and we're going to use the same one that we have, which is this one. And this way we can mount it from where we are. So we'll just give that a second to modify. Okay. And then let's do this. Oops, I better recopy that because I didn't actually paste it right. So we still have permission denied here. Oh, hold on. Wrong place, right? That obviously works because we're root. So is it? Let's go back and have a look in the docs. So we don't have a file system policy on the Brett test, and we can mount that, but we don't have permissions to write to it. I wonder if we do, let's just try something else. See how we've got these groups here? So let's go like this. We're going to set up an Apache group. And we'll add the EC2 user to it. Okay. I think we're SSM right now. Yeah, so let's do this. New keyboard. It's amazing how much muscle memory you have. I can remember some of the new key mappings, but escape isn't up in the top left anymore. It's this kind of multi-purpose key that I have down on the right-hand side of my keyboard, and I can use my thumb for it, and my brain will not remember that. When you hit the upper left-hand key, you can see it's an equal sign. It's not escape. Man, my brain just can't store that info. Okay, so we've got that set up. Reconnect. Yeah, so that's okay. I'm pretty confident that we'll be fine there. This is what I'm thinking about right here. So we've got our root file system, or like the slash www, and what we want to do is we'll put like we'll put a subdirectory in there, and I want to see. I want to say that we have a a domain in here, like Acme Widgets or something. Let's see. Yeah, so we're going to use Acme Widgets, and you can see we've got a bunch of things tied to it already. So let's clean them up. I use this for testing all the time. So we're just going to go. What's that record? Hold on. What's this pointing to? Okay, that's validation for assert, so that's fine. We'll rebuild that too. Minecraft stuff we don't need, and we'll say delete. So this way we've got like kind of a fresh domain at this point with no entries in it. So what I'm going to do is if we go back over here, I almost wonder if we say, I got to make sure that I mount that file system first. All right, so let's just do this one. Oh yeah, we can't even do that now because of that policy. I know this is out of sync now of what we've got in. You know what we could do? Hold on. You know, we're making this harder on ourselves than we need to. We could go back to demo. And see if we've got anything different here. See, we don't. We don't have that policy. And I think we also tried to use it in the Minecraft one. Do we have EFS here too? Ah. There we go. So what we've got here is, look at this. This one's way more advanced. So we've got a bunch of references here that go back up to here. Performance, backup, right? We could add those in, but see, this is different. Client mount, client write, client root access. You know what? Let's do this. Back over here. Drop that right here. It's worth a shot, right? Rather than reinventing something here that we don't have to. Now we're using our brains, right? Haha. Maybe. We got a lot of demo projects in here, eh? Smart and hard. You got it. That's what we're after. EFS, change set. Hey, Kevin, so how's the, I think you were taking a programming course or something, weren't you? Last time we talked? I know it was a while ago. Also, reminds me, I know your Pirates are done for the year, but the Jays aren't, so let's see what's happening here. So Boston's beating Baltimore, which is normal, tied. It's kind of a must-win for the Jays tonight. Otherwise, they'd be, I think, 2 games back of New York. And they would also, if Baltimore wins, they'd lose a game on Baltimore too. So they'd be 2 or 3 games behind Baltimore with, what, 5 games left? It's getting down to every game is important at this point, right? Hey, okay, so that's done. If we go back over here now and just refresh this, we should see that updated policy. Okay, but did I just cut and paste something in there that we didn't need without really paying attention? It doesn't look like it, does it? Yeah, that's interesting. So this deny right here is doing what? If you're not using secure transport, so if we don't have SSL, then it won't work. I'm not quite sure how it's constructing this. It's a little mysterious because I don't see resource here. Effect, principal, action, condition. It must just be assigning this resource based on the file system that it's associated to. It's interesting. Yeah, it's I was watching MLB TV the other night and I flipped the Pirates on and they were up 6-0 and they end up losing 12-6. So it's a tough one. Oh yeah, bees. We haven't talked in a while. How are the bees doing? Are you gonna get a little bit of honey off them this year, or are you gonna leave it all? What are you thinking? Sorry to bring it back up. Okay, there we go. We mounted that drive. And what I'm thinking is if this policy does what I want, the way that I want to build this out is we're going to do this. Make dir, maybe, make dir minus p. We'll say acme widgets .xyz slash, no, we're not going to put the logs here. But I'll do public HTML. Okay, there we go. We wrote to it, so that's great. Okay, you gonna leave it? Yeah, I think leaving it in the first season's probably pretty good. How cool is it now where you are? It's 14 degrees Celsius here right now, so it wasn't actually too bad of a day. It was nice and sunny. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So you got some honey from some other folks. That's good. Okay, so that policy has fixed it. So we've got this. If we do Acme widgets, I gotta put the bash shell on here. It's annoying. And then do public. Okay, so this will be what will make our index page, right? This is what we'll serve publicly. So let's just do this. We'll say touch index.html, and then actually, do we even need this at this point? Because let's do this. We're gonna put WordPress in here, so it doesn't really matter, right? Okay. So that's good. So that policy fixed that problem. What else did we have on our to-do list? Apache in progress. Yeah, let's finish these two pieces. So what I want to do now is we've created a group Apache. We've put ourselves in that, both the EC2 user and SSM user, just in case we're doing some management. Little lower at night. Yeah, so you're pretty much the same as us right now. Okay. And this is the next thing we need to do. Okay, we need to set up the directory ownership for this. So we want to say, and we're going to make this, the owner will be, we'll actually make it SSM user because we're going to do most of the work, and then Apache, and we'll say www/acme widgets. If we go up a directory here, So now SSM user owns the directory and Apache is the group. And if we go up one more, same thing here. And then up here, it's root, essentially. And then, yeah, root owns the www directory. Okay, so there we go. So that's good. So why don't we temporarily make a change to the Etsy configuration, sorry, not the Etsy configuration, the Apache configuration, and point it to this new Acme widgets, okay? And we actually will, I know I started and then I decided to not do it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create an Nxhtml file here. I just want to make sure that this works. No, we need HTML first, right? If I can find the right key. And then we'll say, man, I do it every time. And then we'll do okay. Actually, before we do anything here, let's just be careful. Just in case. Now we're gonna do this. We're just gonna get rid of all the comments. This is why I made a copy. Just in case you do something like that, right? Probably don't even need this because we're not going to have that directory, so we'll probably pull that out. Same with this one, but I think I'll just do it in a couple steps just in case. Ooh. This will just be easier to manage later. All right, save this. And then what we want to do for now, we're just going to make a couple basic changes. I'm just going to, oh, look at that. I left all the directory stuff in here, didn't I? Okay, all I want to do is change the document root. And I'm going to make this our path, which is this. Right? And then we want to take this one. Oh, you know what though? Hold on a second. I might have messed that up. So let's just be careful here. I want to make, I never remember, I always delete that line too fast. And I never remember if I need the slash on the end, and see something I messed up again here. So that's why you always keep a backup. So let's do, and just have a look right here. Okay, so there's no trailing slash on that, see there? And then this is directory, and then that's directory. So we want this to be above and that to be, this will be, what we'll do is we'll make this Acme widgets, and we'll make this Acme widgets public HTML. Okay. And there's no trailing slash on any of those. Okay. Okay, so this is what we want to change here. It's like, do you ever notice, remember the old days when you used to go into a record store and you'd have like this perfect idea of what you wanted in the record store until you walked into the record store. And then it's like the moment you walked through the door, you're like, what did I come here for again? I don't even remember. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna do something really stupid. We're just gonna leave this because I can't seem to keep that in my head. I just showed how old I am. Not that the graying beard doesn't give me away, right? Record store, what is that? Okay, we're gonna do that. And then this we're gonna turn into this will be the same as the top one. Right? And then what we'll do is we'll just, oops, we'll blow these commented lines away just to make this file a little easier to read later on. And I'm feeling pretty confident at this point, so we're gonna do this and get rid of all the CGI stuff. All right, so there we go. Now the next thing would be, I always forget, HTTPD restart. Backwards. I had a 50-50 shot. Okay, didn't fail. So now we can do, so that's running. Okay, so I didn't mess anything up in the config file. So we're good there. Now we need a log directory. So we don't need a very big log directory, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to configure the CloudWatch log agent to write logs from the Apache server into the CloudWatch logs solution. And then that way we don't even have to log into this machine to look at the logs later on. But I don't want to write the logs to the shared file system. So what I'm thinking we do is we create another small EBS volume. Actually, you know what we could do? Let's see here. I don't think we have access to instance store on a T4G. I forget where we see this. There's usually a column that says storage. It'll say like EBS only, or it'll say EBS and instance, I think it is. Yeah, see here, instance store. So these have, this is EBS only, and then here you've got NVMe SSD drives. Because instance store is ephemeral, so if the machine goes away, it just wipes whatever's on that instance store, it doesn't matter. But to me, that means that we don't have instance store with our T4Gs that we're going to use for this, which is okay. Figured we'd check. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go back here. Not Beanstalk. Do it this way instead. And we're going to create ourselves a small volume, just like 8 gigs, because we don't need a lot of space. And we want to do GP3, and we'll make it 8 gigs. We want to make sure we've got this in the right availability zone, because EBS is tied to the AZ, right? So we're going to look here and just make sure that we understand where this is launched, and I never remember where it is. We're looking for the the availability zone. Oh, no, storage. Do you see the, I'm looking for AZ something. Well, we could figure it out this way. So this is in 1A. See this? CA Central 1A. So that's fine there. And then we'll give this a name tag. We'll say WP logs. Okay. And then what we'll do is we will attach this to the temporary builder machine that we've created. And then again, I can never remember these commands. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this and we'll put it on the other side of the screen so we don't have to flip back and forth. All right. So this right here is the new drive we created. So 8 gig drive, the 10, and this is the root volume. Oh wait, hold on, what are we doing here? This is the new drive that we created. Okay, so that's our first disk. This is our root disk, and you can see that's the root partition, and then this is the disk that we just added. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to do this right here. Okay, so we're going to do sudo makefs, and it's going to be dev nvme1n1. Okay, so that's good. No error there, so we're good. And then we're going to say sudo make dir, and we'll just call this logs, right? Okay, so now we've got, this will be our public directory, and this is our logs directory. So that means that what we want to do is go back in here and find the log config and just change where it goes. See here, the error log? I guess we could have left that. Am I making this more complicated than it needs to be? Because this will write to, you know, I don't want it to write to the root file system. Because if we think about it, like to be honest, if the logs file system was to fill, do I care, right? Versus this, let's just do, is it var log? This is on the root file system. And then you can see that if we do, we won't have access to it unless we do this. This is where it's writing the access logs and error logs right now. And we've already used on here, we're already 26% use. Yeah, I think I'm going to write it to the logs directory. What do you think? Make sense to write it there? Just to keep it off the root volume? Or do we feel comfortable that we've got, what, 74% disk to deal with here? Makes sense? Okay, so let's do it that way. I think it's a better way to do it. So we want to change. We'll leave it as error log though. We won't get fancy there. So we're just going to say like that. I think I called it logs. And then we'll change this one as well. Yeah, okay, so now we can do this again just to check to make sure. Probably doesn't have access to write there. Okay, that's what it is. See this? Configure no such file or directory. Oh, hold on. Okay, so we got error log and access log. I wonder if it's writing its log files here still. Yeah, okay. That's helpful, right? I saw something up here. Thought it said somewhere that we could get I was looking for a more verbose log of what we did. I wonder if it's still permissions because the root of this is, let's try this just to see. And let's just make sure we're grabbing all this. So we'll do -r. Oops. Another shortcut I've created. I guess I don't need sudo because I'm root, so I should do this. No such file or directory. Is it plural or something in the log? Access log, error log. Access log, error log. So there's not a typo there. Oh, here we go. Line 43, cannot access directory. etc. Oh, you know why? Because that's the server directory. So I've got to put etc http conf. So it can't find these log files. I think I need the slash in front because we haven't changed the server directory. So it thinks when you don't put a full path, it thinks everything is under the etc http directory. So if we do this and then go, what is it called? http.conf. Well, I have the leading slash. I don't have the leading slash in front of this though. See this right here? Let's do one thing at a time and see what happens. There we go. Okay. There, and now we've got, this should just be the, as it's starting and it's complaining about a couple little things. We won't worry about those in any great detail. Okay, so that's running, which means what we could do now is we could, let's switch over here and go to var log, and we'll just clean out this. We don't need it anymore because we're going to write our logs to that other file system. Ugh. Okay, so that's fine. And then what we could do now is why don't we finish the setup on the Cloudwatch logs file, the Cloudwatch logs configuration, and that will be finished. And I forget how this works, so let's go over here and do. I always like to search for unified. Okay, and what we need to do now is we need to configure the agent. So we've got it installed, but we actually have to set up a little config file. That's what we want right here. And you can do it easily with the wizard, which is near the bottom here. I don't know why it's at the bottom of the page. We need this. So if we run that, okay, so we're running Linux, it's EC2, we'll run it as root, we want to use statsd, all the basics, Do we want to collect with, or do we want to monitor metrics collectee? No. Yes, we'll add the extra dimensions to our metrics if available. Okay, and now this, we need to decide what we want. So you can see these little tables. If we're running an EC2 instance, if we're using EC2 with Linux, if you run basic, standard, or advanced, I don't really think we need netstat and all that. This is going to give us more CPU, disk. Does it give us, we want logical disk though. I think that gives us logical disk. Yeah, I think I'm going to do standard. It'll give us memory used, swap used, and this is going to give us, it's going to give us additional disk, read and write, and network. You know what? For this, let's go advanced, just to see what we get. Okay, so that's fine. Do we want to configure, or do we want to add additional items? We do. And this is where we want to, what did I say there? Default choice 1. Do you have an existing CloudWatch log agent? No. Oh, look, I misread that. It says, are you satisfied with the above config? There's a part here where we could, there, okay. Log files, this is what we want. So we're gonna say var log messages. So this is just the system messages. Now we need to think about how we want to organize this. Log groups are the top level, and then a log group is broken down into log streams, and then log streams have events. So what I'm thinking is we could call this WordPress system messages. Okay. Now underneath that, it'll organize, in this case, var log messages into streams that are identified by the instance ID. So, you know, the I dash whatever. We'll leave that. Yes, we do. This is var, no. Logs, air log. And we'll say WP air log. Still organized by instance ID. And then we want, I keep doing that, logs, access logs. Right, like that. And we just keep this as, oh, it's a dash, not an underscore. So now we've got system messages, and then we've got the air logs and the access logs, and we've separated those into different log groups. So that means that we could, in CloudWatch logs, we could go in and search system messages, we could search air messages, we could search access messages, all separately from each other. So let's say that that's good. And now what we're able to do is put this configuration file into the systems manager parameter store so we can call it later on. And I want to store that. So yes, we're going to change the name a bit. We're going to say Cloudwatch WP instance, okay? Now this is the one thing, I hope that we have the right permission on the policy, the managed policy that we've attached here. This will tell us. And we don't. See this, error code? We need to make sure we have SSM put parameter. And that's an error in, again, our, if we go back over here, and we look at, where did we set that up? I think in IAM. See right here, all we've done is we've added the, this is for SSM to allow it to do session manager and things like that. So we need an extra permission here. So if we go over to IAM, we can find it. It's a, we're going to use a managed policy for this. So we'll go here and we will, you can do a filter somehow. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't really matter, but we can say type AWS managed. And then we'll just do Cloudwatch. And there's a couple that are here, admin policy and server policy. For now, we're going to use admin policy because it will give us this put parameter And then you can see the resource name has to start with Amazon CloudWatch. If we look at the other one, server policy, it only is get. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do it this way, because we don't normally want to provide admin to these hosts. So we're going to do this because we do need that regardless. So we'll add that. All right. What I'm thinking is we only need the agent policy temporarily. So what I'm thinking we do is we need the server policy going forward. So we put that one in programmatically. And then what I'm going to do is we're just going to temporarily add the server policy for CloudWatch, go back and rerun the config, and then that way we'll remove that policy. I think that's probably the better way to do it. What we should see here is modification of that role. So we'll say execute. While we're waiting, let's go see how the Jays are doing. Ooh, top of 5. You're up by a run. Up by a run. I'm a Jays fan, but I don't think I'm gonna actually watch the Jays games because I'll lose all my fingernails. I'm too nervous at this point. So I think I'm gonna let them like play today, see how they do, because then, you know what, to be honest, if they lose, then the chances are quite low. So I will have less anxiety, let me put it that way. So I'll just kind of check the scores here for tonight, and then that'll help me make a decision for tomorrow. I'm that kind of fan at this point. Too nervous. Okay, so that's that. And let's go over back to our EC2 instance, and we can just check the policy now that's assigned to this and make sure that we got what we need. So if we go under security, there's the role, and what we should see is the additional permission. So there's the agent server policy. You know what I mean, Kevin? Yeah, I don't think I'm fickle. I think I'm nervous. Maybe that's the way I'm going to describe it. So we're just going to run through this again. I don't need the stress, I guess is what I'm saying, right? And we've done all this, so I'll just blast through this quick. And we decided to use advanced to give us all the stuff. We're good with that. Good with that. This is the crappy part. So now we got to go var log messages. And what did we call this? I think we just called it system messages, right? Something like that. There we go. Yep. And we're going to say logs. And we'll call this I did it again. Okay, so now we're good. Yes, we want to store it. This will change. And we're just going to call it we'll just call it Amazon CloudWatch WP. No sense in making it any longer. Let's see if it works this time. Ah. Put parameter on resource. That looks good to me. Right? This is our policy. Oh, did I? Wait a second. What did I do? Did I add the wrong one? Agent server policy. I think I added the I think I added the wrong one. Ah. It only has get. Oh. Jesus, I'm having one of those nights. Remember what I literally just said this. We're going to add the policy that we want permanently, and then we're going to add the server admin one manually. Wow. Best plans, right? Let's try this again. So we'll do Cloudwatch. And this is the admin policy that we're just going to temporarily add. All right, let's try it again. No collect D. Advanced. Looks good. Yes. Actually, yeah, let's do it this way. We'll just say WP system. Okay, and then we'll do and we'll call this WP air. Yep. And we'll call it WP access. And then we're done. Yes, we do. Amazon, did I spell it wrong? It's got to be Amazon Cloudwatch dash. Look, I just left the default. I don't know. I wonder sometimes if it just, it takes a little bit of time, I think, for that policy to be applied. Let's try it again. When all else fails, just do the same thing again, because it was probably the computer that was wrong, right? This at least gives us an opportunity to rethink what we're calling all of our log groups and everything. Let's just go back over here, close this window. I don't think it has anything to do with exiting or anything like that. I do know a couple times we've done this, and it seems to take a little while. I wonder if I was logged out there. That's weird. I know it takes a little while sometimes. We got to go back to Canada. Go to security. Let's just check this again. We should see the 3 policies, right? There we go. And the agent admin policy. Get input on Amazon Cloudwatch dash. Okay. Looks good to me. Did we lose that other? This is what I want here. Just want to get the command out of here. Yeah, see this? So it says use Amazon CloudWatch dash. Make sure I didn't type anything wrong. Amazon CloudWatch, uppercase ACW, ACW dash WP. I think it's just coincident. I don't think it has anything to do with us logging out and logging back in. I think it's just a timing thing. Okay, so I am going to log out here though. Okay, we're going to say terminate. And then what we'll do now is, before we forget, we will remove that policy. Okay, because we don't need the admin one anymore. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and reconnect. Because what I'm expecting, or what I'm hoping will happen here, is if we go to Cloudwatch logs now, and we go to log groups, we mustn't have anything written to the logs yet. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of time. But, oh, you know what? Let's do one other thing just to check this. So now that we have this, we basically can restart the agent and tell it which configuration we want it to use. Let me see if I can remember this. Go to Systems Manager again, and we want to manage the agent this time. So we're going to go back to the run command. Where is it? Never can find it. Run command. Okay. And now we're going to look for manage agent. This one right here. Okay. And now what we're going to say is the location we want you to look at is Cloudwatch WP. Because right now the agent doesn't have a config file. So we're going to configure the EC2 instance with that's running Cloudwatch, and we're going to say look in SSM for a location called this, and we will restart it if you need to. Choose our instances, go here, turn off S3, and run. All right, so there we go, really quick. Now, back over here, we'll leave that window open. We'll go to EC2. We'll do the same thing. I'm just trying to generate some logs. So like if we, once we get in here, if we do right, we should basically see some stuff happening here, which then means over here, there we go, air system. So this is our instance ID, and there's all the logs coming off of it. Okay. Now the one thing that we have to keep in mind is it's not encrypted. Okay. I wonder if there's a better way to do this. I wonder if we could, I do not sound like I look. Hey, Troller, well, welcome aboard. Thanks for the follow. I don't sound like I look. That could be bad or that could be good. I'm not sure yet. So we could do this in a couple ways. So what we're doing now is we're letting essentially the Cloudwatch log agent to create the log groups on our behalf. So if you remember, we go back over here. And we go to, well, we could actually, I always forget how to find the instance profile. So let's go to EC2. I always do it this way. So you go to EC2, you go here, security, click on the IAM role. And see this right here, agent server policy. This is now saying, put metric data, we're allowing it to create log streams and create log groups. So the only thing we could think of, or the only other thing that we could do, is we could create the log groups ahead of time, I think. And then that would allow us to tie this down. And the reason I'm thinking that we might do that is if we go back over here, there's a couple things we can do now that I like. So if we go back to Cloudwatch and we go over to logs, and we find one of these logs, right? Oh, sorry, it logged me back out. No, go back over here. All right, we got these two. Go on your system. There's no KMS key ID. So when it creates it, it's unencrypted by default. And then we also have to think about the retention period. So by default, a CloudWatch log group will create or will keep logs indefinitely. We probably don't want that. So let's, I'm gonna call it here. I've been going for about a couple hours now. And I gotta do a couple other things tonight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in here into our little to-do list. This is done now. Okay. We've got Apache installed and configured. Do we? No, because I gotta figure out the config file because I want to have a shared config file. Okay, so I've got an idea. I just don't know if it's the most efficient way to do it. So we'll leave that till next week. And then the other thing I'm going to do here is, it's not really under the AMI part, but what we're going to do is we're going to say create CFN template for CloudWatch logs. And what we want here is air, access, and system logs. And we want this includes KMS and retention, okay? Because I don't, this is fine, but then we've got to go back and change this, and I'd like to do it as code if we could. So I'll add that for next week, okay? And we will be back next Tuesday. I got to get back on the horse here and get back into the groove of doing these Tuesday nights. It's I think, Kevin, I'm not sure if you were here, but I think it's kind of like going to the gym. You create the habit of going to the gym, but you very quickly lose the habit of going to the gym when you stop, right? So for the last month, I've been kind of, Tuesday night rolls around and tired and had a hard day at work and just instead sit on the couch. So I'm going to try to get back into this now on Tuesday night. So we'll be back. And Kevin, I'll consider you to be my streaming buddy here. You'll keep me honest next Tuesday. Hang out in Discord there and give me a friendly reminder if you don't see me by about 6:30, and we'll be back and finish up. We'll get the AMI done. My goal next week would be to get the AMI finished, and then what we could do is we could test this out at least. No load balance or anything in front, but we could get the auto scaling group done and make sure that the machines come to life and there's Apache running and all that kind of good stuff. All right. So awesome, folks. Thanks very much, as always. It's been a lot of fun. Troller, thanks for kicking around with us here for, I don't know how long you've been here, but thanks for the follow. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.